What is up, my ducks and drakes? Welcome to the Crowded Lake, and today we are reading Chapter 2 of The Awful Battle of the Pekes and What's Possible by me. If you'd like to recommend a fic, whether you wrote it yourself or it's just one of your favorite fics to read, you could do so in the link in the description below to the Google form. It does not have to be on Wattpad, it could be on any platform. And if you'd like to check out this fic on Wattpad, AO3, or fanfiction.net, you could do so with the links listed in the description. With that being said, here is Chapter 2, The Jellicle Ball. Cats were returning to the junkyard from all over to compete to be the Jellicle choice. Everyone was buzzing with excitement, finally seeing all their friends after a year since the last ball. Munkustrap was, of course, greeting all of them at the entrance, knowing the ball couldn't start without him and his opening call. His smile hurt his cheeks as he continued to shake the paws and hug some of his old pals and welcome the new kittens to the ball. Once the gaggle of cats that were filing in turned to a trickle, Monk moved to the middle of the space and began the ball. He took his time crawling around, getting in the feel of the ball, but also taking in any last sniff of macavity he could find. He couldn't smell his brother, so he stood up to officially start. "Are you blind when you're born?" One by one, the other cats joined, and they sang out why they were there. Monk looked out and helped to explain what a Jellicle Ball was and what a Jellicle was to the new kits coming in. After Victoria, a new kit for that year, did her dance. Mistopheles sung with her, and Monk stepped back out to the open. They added more explanations before he slid right into introducing a long contender for the Jellicle choice. Jenny Anydots. Misto eccentrically shot up and stretched out before folding in on himself once he realized the song was not about him. Monk felt his stomach drop, forgetting the conversation he had with Misto among the chaos. He'd take note to apologize for that after the ball. Still, he continued to introduce the old Gumby cat, staying near her for the most part, narrating and adding to her little eccentricities. Monk had her slide between his legs, and he caught her when she tripped. She was very sprightly for her age and gave a radiance that not even a lot of kittens could achieve. By the end of the number, Monk met her on the floor, just making sure she was okay when he heard the riff. His brother already? At least he will get the kittens excited. The younger ones had a long night ahead of them, so Monk wasn't fond of Tugger enticing them right away, but he knew no matter what his brother couldn't hold back. So Monk stood back and watched all the kittens squeal for him. He was pleased once that the number was finished, but was soon caught off guard by a familiar scent. Grisabella. She had approached, and Monk knew she was not welcomed. That was made very clear by his father. He didn't know what she was capable of, but stood in front of her to stop her from hurting any of his tribe. That was until she started singing. Monk couldn't help but look away. He saw himself in her eyes. In the story she sang, Mistopheles and Victoria walked up to her, being held back, not quite reaching her. Monk stared at Cassandra as she wiggled, making fun of the older cat. He twitched his nose and made eye contact, letting her know to chill out before things got bad. After, he turned to Grisabella, looking her in the eye for the first time, but the moment he met her gaze, she turned away, stepping forward so the only way she could see him is if she turned around. Demeter started to sing about her, and Monk just stared at her as she hobbled forward, looking back for a second, but immediately regretting it. As he turned around, she was folded over, facing the ground. Monk took a step forward, leaning towards her. In this instance, should he be concerned or fearful, sympathetic or alert? Monk took a few steps forward, thinking of going out to hold the former Jellicle before the rest of the tribe followed and joined him right there where he was. He stayed put to protect his tribe, but reached out a paw. If only she'd turn around, she'd know someone was there. Monk just wanted to help. Sure, maybe his dad banished her, but cats can change, and all cats are Jellicle cats. She deserved a second chance. If she doesn't, then what does that say about his mistakes? Once she left, he felt his chest puff, keeping his eyes down to not meet any of the kittens. He didn't want to concern them any more than this song might have. Just then, he heard the brass of Bustopher Jones, making Monk brighten up for his entrance. A sir of this stature shouldn't have to ride the tail of such a glum moment, but no one would be able to command him to stay back. He noticed Mr. Mistopheles in the corner, flapping and yipping the way he did the previous night. Misto has always been very fond of Bustopher. Not only was his uncle overall renowned, but Bustopher was an expert in this history of all things ballet and operatic. Misto engaged to absorb his knowledge. He was the first to walk up to and bow to his uncle. Monk couldn't just let this be the only formal greeting he gets. It's his job as the Jellicle leader to make everyone feel welcomed and safe. So he took a step out. He didn't want to bow because as the future Jellicle leader, that would be undermining him. So out of ideas, he saluted the cat. As he stepped out of the way to let him through, Misto came up from behind him, sliding forward to whack his tail. He panicked and stopped Bustopher, then getting the attention of the other cats to get a seat for him, trying to distract him from Misto's excitement. Once seated, Monk watched in awe, absorbing whatever wisdom he had, soon figuring out it was mostly food-related, and that he didn't have the kind of appetite for that to be his goal. He kept things calm until Bustopher fell back and Monk swept in to catch him. Noted for next year, keep a seat with a backing on standby for him. He got in line with the rest of the cats, but once the number finished, the shocks of macavity took the air. Everything was dark and tense as kittens were gathered and more abled cats whipped out their claws. Instead of fighting, they opted to scurry away until they knew it was safe. They stayed hidden and away from the square, talking attack methods and plans of actions until one of the cats spotted Mungo, Jerry, and Rumpelteazer out and about, causing Monk to head back out, knowing he'd have to interrupt the chaos. By the time the cats spotted old Deuteronomy coming from the distance, Mr. Mistopheles went to go meet him and help him up to the junkyard as Monk started to introduce his dad to the kittens who may not be as aware. Old Deuteronomy's lived a long time. Monk would be lying if he didn't mention the overwhelming warmth and safety that came from seeing his father. He has been such a great Jellicle leader, and Monk really just wanted to hug onto his side for the rest of his life. Tugger came back out for the second verse. It was very rare to see Tugger talking about anyone that wasn't himself. He was very prideful and self-centered, often only talking to Monk in insults and rhetorical remarks, but this feeling was so different. They both loved their dad very much and had only grown closer to him as grown Toms, especially after the instance with macavity. It was nice to have a moment with his brother where he wasn't being sarcastic or overly full of himself. He was just standing there, singing a nice song with his brother, passing on the blood familial love from themselves and creating a love for their leader throughout the entire tribe. Old Doot was ushered into the square, Monk getting to the front of the cat pack to prevent any of them from trampling over his dad as he struggled to make his way into the space. Wow, he was just ready to collapse to his knees with happiness. He hasn't had a chance to see him since the last Jellicle Ball. Sometimes this made Monk think about how often he'd been able to see his future kids when he took his father's position. The thought of not being able to see his own kin grow up made his stomach twist. Monk's pack didn't work quite right. All the cats swarmed him, trying to tackle him with affection. Monk reached out a paw to help steady his balance, but old Dude did was take his paw in Monk's and squeeze it before walking away. It's all right, though. He knew his dad was just distracted and didn't think much of it, falling behind him to perch to help him get up on it. Thank you so much for listening along. Chapter 2 is real spunky. If you want to go back and listen to Chapter 1, if you haven't done that, that'd probably be helpful. If you'd like to be notified when the next chapter uploads, go ahead and subscribe so you can hit that bell notification and be like, hey, we uploaded another chapter. Woohoo. With that being said, once again, thank you for watching, and much like Munkustrap trying to keep everything together, do your best.